Hi, I'm Harrison with the Luxury Pergola. Today we're talking about our crown molding, that decorative trim around the outside. We're going to talk through the installation of that, best practices, what comes in the box, and how to get it installed as easily as possible. So we'll go ahead and go through the installation. The first thing you'll notice is I'm talking about the parts, the small parts that come with it. When you receive your pergola, you'll have all of the long pieces of crown actually inside of the beam boxes. So open up those beam boxes. If you ordered crown that was longer than all of your beams, then you might have the crown in a separate box that'll be labeled as crown. The small parts you see me unboxing here, these are the crown corners. So every long wall has a corner corresponding with it. The reason why we don't ship it with just full length with miters on both sides is because most of these units, no offense to everyone building them, won't be built square for a multitude of reasons, because even if you square the bottom, if you don't plumb everything perfectly, the top won't be perfectly square. And we need to have a little bit of wiggle room in there to make sure that everything looks nice. And the aesthetic is the main thing we're going for here. If we built it with full miters, everything would need to line up perfectly. So that's why we ship everything with a corresponding corner. So you'll get a long piece and a corner for each of these sides. So as I'm unboxing it here, you'll notice that I've got these corner pieces that I'm pulling out of the bags. And then in my hand, I was holding these nylon corner keys. If you've built the pergola, you're used to the nylon corner keys. We use them in the base collar. We also use them in the crown. But you can see, this whole array of walls. We're putting this on a 12 by 20 unit, the same unit that we did the main install video. If you're skipping ahead and watching this, build the pergola first, then you can watch this video. But we have the long walls segmented out. So two 12-foot corresponding sides, and then two 20-foot corresponding sides, and then 4 corners, 1 per wall, and then the corner keys as well. First things first, we're gonna install the back side corner or long side corner first. The goal here is basically to work counterclockwise. So you'll install one of the long pieces. I would start with one of the long pieces. So in this case, the 20-foot side, and then put on the corner, and then a long side, corner, long side, corner, long side, finish it with a corner. And that's what we're gonna do working counterclockwise. So we'll slide it out of the bag and we'll get started here. You can see I'm mentioning after we pulled this out of the bag, you can see I'm mentioning that the corner has a miter to it. So the mitered side is always on the left side of the long pieces of crown. So this one, it looks like it's on the left side as you're facing it from the outside. Left side has the miter, right side has a square cut. It'll always be like that. If you buy one that is a butt cut crown, that means it's flat on both sides, and that is because you have basically a special need or custom need for where it's gonna be fitting within the unit. If it's a super perg, you'll have 2 butt cuts on the longest wall. You don't need to know all of that stuff. The wall sizes will correspond with what you need. We do all that work for you, so you don't have to worry about that. But most of the walls have a corresponding angle or miter to one of the sides. So before you put the long wall up in place or bring it up in place, the first thing you should do is I would walk around the whole unit. I do it as I go, but you could do it all at once, and take out the button head screws that hold the post cap top or post cap in place. So take out those 2 screws and replace them with the set screws that came with your unit. You need those set screws basically to align them horizontally, but they have to be the set screw and they have to be installed flush to the top of the post cap so that they don't stand up too tall and hold the crown away from the unit. So if you left the button head, the crown won't sit down, so you have to remove the button head, and the set screw, once you screw it down, you need to make sure it is flush with the post cap top, which you'll see me doing here. Okay, so you can see me putting that set screw in place, and in the end, you'll see both of them are flush. So before you bring the long wall up, you need to bring up an impact driver with a 5/16 bit. It's the same screws you use to attach the pivot strip when you were putting the louvers in. So the small screws from bag D, and then you're going to grab obviously the long piece of crown, and then I would bring up some corner keys potentially as well. Just put them in your pocket. That way you have them with you as you move on to the corners. So we're gonna bring it up here first. 2 people, 2 ladders, 1 on each side, obviously, goes without saying. So the big goal here is to make sure that this corner down here, this piece right here, the angle of this leg should end right there. So you don't want it sticking out. You don't want it coming in. You want it lined up The crown does have a register back here to help make sure that you know you're not over rotating it. This is one of the new design changes for this year that we added to the crown, along with these corner key connection points. We used to use splice plates, but these give you a more positive, better connection from corner to corner, give you a tighter miter. It also gives you a better connection between each of the splices from crown to crown. And then again, that back register, having built several versions of crown that didn't have that from both our company and some of our competitors, that is actually a huge feature if you're out in the field installing it. So that's where it needs to line up on that corner of the unit. And then go ahead and screw that down into the beam. Big note here, and I messed up on this a couple times. When you screw down through the crown here, this obviously would go past onto the post. When you screw down, this insert right here that's inside of the beam goes in about 1.5 inches. Call it 2 inches. Don't try and put a screw through a solid block of aluminum. It won't go through, or you're gonna spend a while doing it, or you're gonna have to pre-drill for a little while as well. Just skip the insert, make sure you stay inside of the inserts on each side, and then put a screw down. If you accidentally start the hole, go ahead and just fill it with caulk, just to seal the fact that you poked a hole in it, but make sure you stay inside of the inserts on both sides. So as we get back to this, you'll notice I missed the insert, which is good. I put the screw in. You need a screw every 3 feet, should be more than enough. It's not critical that the part has a huge amount of purchase because you're looking at a shear load of a number 10 screw. This thing isn't gonna handle that much load in general, even when there's snow. So it's just a trim piece, you don't have to go crazy. As we join the 2 flat parts of crown together, or the 2 butt cuts, I'll call them. As we join those 2 parts together, you'll take your crown corner here and you'll cut it in half with a pair of wire cutters or whatever you have on hand, and then put one in the top leg and one in the bottom leg. And what that does is help align them so that you don't end up with over rotation and they don't look perfect as they line up to one another. It just keeps them nice and tight and looking good. Here I'm gonna take out the button head screws on that last corner. As I talked about earlier, you can go around and do this first, or you can do it as you go. And then after I take those out and put the set screws in, then we'll put in the last corner. Okay, so now we're gonna slide that corner onto those pieces of corner key, holding it in place, and that will get them to close up nice and tight to one another. And then you're gonna want to screw down into the frame then. What you'll notice first when you align 2 pieces of crown together is you're gonna have a little bit of light that you can probably see in between the 2 of them. And the big reason for that is just because any minor tiny seam, sunlight will find its way through. What I would recommend, if these are installed and there's this seam right here, you're gonna wanna put a bead of caulk basically right in here along that line. And that's just to kill any daylight that's shining through. You can also touch up the ends with the included touch-up, up to you. Honestly, just this bead of caulk should be more than enough to kill any daylight and make it look nice and seamless. Okay, so once we bring the next long piece of crown, you're gonna notice that I put in a corner key at the top and the bottom part of this crown as well. You don't cut the corner keys on the actual corners because you want them to be used to hold that miter together to make it look nice and seamless as well. I'll slide that long piece over those corner keys, get a nice look. They do kind of hold the crown in place, but I wouldn't just like let go entirely. I still would keep a hand on it to make sure that it's not going anywhere. And then I put a screw in. See, you can see here, put that screw in, it holds it in place. And then now you have a nice looking miter at the edge of your unit. It sounds simple, but again, having installed crown a million times, the 2 corner keys help a lot in making that look really seamless. And then here, after that, it's just rinse and repeat. Take out the button head screws, go ahead and put in the set screws, make sure everything's aligned, make sure that post cap is flush, put the corner key that you cut in half into the long piece, slide the corner over, and then hold it in place, make sure it's nice and tight, and then put the screws in. Again, these are D screws, or from bag D, the screws, and the bit, again, was included with your original unit. It's the 5/16 6-inch bit. Now, as we're coming around to the motor side, this one's slightly different because you're gonna have to remove the motor if you have already installed the motor. One of the big things we try to recommend in our install manual is to install the crown and then put the motor in. But if you bought the crown after the fact, you're gonna have to do this long version of it. So you're gonna have to take out the cotter pin first, but needle nose pliers are better than wire strippers to try and take out a cotter pin. Go ahead and take out that cotter pin, take out the clevis pin in the back, then take out the shoulder bolt, lay the motor up on top of the unit, and then take out all the screws for the motor stabilizer, and then take out all the screws for the motor mounting bracket in the back. First thing though, before you take them too far out, is to mark where they were on the beam, because once you put that crown on, you still will have a little bit of the original beam showing closest to the louvers, and you can use that line to put the motor mounting bracket and the motor stabilizer roughly in the original spot. If you haven't installed the motor and motor stabilizer bracket yet, then don't worry about it. You'll just follow the same normal install manual to install the motor and motor mounting bracket. Take those out, set them to the side, and then you'll follow the same pattern, put in the corner keys, bring up the long wall, slide it across those corner keys. They are nylon, so they look a little like they're a little flimsy, but they're actually quite strong. But their goal is mainly just alignment. It isn't necessarily to hold the whole unit together. So don't worry about that. Just make sure you don't just try and shove the crown into them without them being in the right spot or in the pocket, because you could obviously bend them and then you're gonna have to bend them back out. They shouldn't break though, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Okay, so once you have that long wall in place, then you can go back and look at the marks you've got and go ahead and reinstall the motor stabilizer and motor mounting bracket. Again, if you haven't done this yet, because you're building the perk for the first time, I would just install the rest of the crown and then come back and follow the regular install video to mount these two pieces. But the goal here is just to make sure nothing is turned. As you reinstall it, you don't want to have the motor mounting bracket off kilter like this or this. It'll cause undue tension and stress on that link bar because you're at an angle. So make sure the motor stabilizer bracket is straight, and make sure the motor mounting bracket is straight as well. Go ahead and put the screws in. This is a number 14 screw or L-bag screw with your 3/8 driver bit. Go ahead and reinstall the clevis pin, reinstall the cotter pin, drop the motor back in place, and then reinstall the shoulder bolt, bushing, and flange nut. And then lastly, you can reinstall the cotter pin that you might have mangled if you were me. Okay, before going too crazy onto the next part of crown while your ladder's still in place, grab the remote and just test operate the motor if you had to reinstall it to make sure that everything looks correct. There's no twisting or bending or unnecessary pressure against the motor stabilizer. Just make sure everything looks good, and then that way you can close it again and then move on with the rest of the crown. I can't tell you how many times I have installed something, not tested it, gone on, finished, and then tested, found out it didn't work, had to bring the ladder back out. It's just go ahead and test it. The rest of the crown is basically rinse and repeat until the last corner. Take out the button head screws, put in the set screws, put in the corner. You got the two small pieces of split corner key that you put in, add the corner, screw it down, pretty self-explanatory. You should get the hang of it by this point. If you're doing a super pergola and you have two long pieces of crown that are both butt cut, then you're just gonna do the same process you do on the corner, which is match those two butt cuts with a split piece of corner key. So exact same process as you see here. You'll know by the crown that you have in front of you what exactly you need to do. Okay, and then after we've installed the last leg, we've got this last corner to put in. The last corner can get a little tricky, so what I would do is just you may need to loosen or uninstall the crown a little bit on the wall that you're joining it to, so that you just have two loosened pieces of crown that are pivoting at like backside hinges of screws, and then put in the corner on one side and then slide it into the corner on the other side. But I say you need to loosen because you might need to give yourself some room to get those corner keys to line up correctly. If you try and leave everything installed and just throw in the last corner, it might fight you a little bit. So I think I uninstall the long wall a little bit and then get it all lined up and then put it all together. Go ahead and throw in your last screw, and then your crown should be installed. Everything should look good. If you do have any questions, obviously you can reach out to us at the Luxury Pergola or leave a comment in the video here. And hopefully you enjoy your crown for many years to come.